So what makes everyone so excited to move back to Africa? Hello once again and welcome back to my channel. My name is Marianne Allen and I am super excited you're here today. If you're new here, I cover my relocation process to Ghana. I am originally from Liberia and I am hoping to move to Liberia permanently. Ghana is a transitional phase for me and I moved to Ghana without ever visiting, so I want you to follow my journey and get some insight into my unique perspective of Ghana. If you have not subscribed, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification button and join the tribe. I do cover contents on Liberia and Ghana, so if you have not seen other contents that I've put out, make sure you check my channel to see contents both on Ghana and Liberia. So what makes everyone so excited to move back to Africa? Today in this video, I will be talking about some of those misleading information that people dwell on and then move back without a proper plan, and a year later they go packing. Okay, I mean, apart from the obvious like patriotic reason where it's like Africa is home to the black man, you know, or Ghana is home to the black man, you know, a lot of people believe living in Africa is cheap. Is that actually true? I will say it depends. Something tends to be cheap when your income actually exceeds that item. When you are trying to purchase a handbag for $1,000 and you only have $1,200, $1,200, that handbag is not cheap. But if you have $25,000 and you're trying to purchase a $1,000 handbag, the handbag seems cheap to you, right? So saying that living in Africa is cheap is somewhat misleading. It can be cheap for you who are coming from the West, but pretty soon after you've moved, you will realize that living in Africa is not cheap. And living in Africa below budget, below the West budget, actually comes with a lot of perks. Okay, it's not just something that's automatic. There are lots of different things that you have to do to make sure that your living in Africa is cheap. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that you can actually live in Africa and live comparable money-wise, expense-wise to the US or to the UK or to Canada or wherever else you are from, which you wouldn't call cheap, because if you're paying $1,000 for a rent and in the US you're paying $1,000 for a rent, that's not cheap living, even though you're in Africa. Okay, so what makes living in Africa cheap depends on the things that you like, your quality of living. Your living expenses may be lower than that of the US. We all know that when you leave the West, you tend to make much lower in income than when you lived in the West. So it's almost a good example is living in New York and living in Indiana. Let's put it like that, or yeah, living in Indiana, or living in the Midwest. We will hear like rent in New York is like $3,000, $2,500 for a little small place, whereas in the Midwest we would have like a big old house for $1,500, $2,000, and you're like, when you hear the cost of living in New York, you're like, oh my gosh, that is so expensive. But then when you think about the income, New York income is much higher. So you would apply for a job where in the West, in the Midwest, they would pay you like $60,000, but in New York, they would pay you $80,000. So for them, their income is high and they may not see $3,000 rent to be expensive, whereas because our income is low, we see living in New York to be super expensive. So it's the same with the US and Africa, okay? So when you think about it, your income is going to drop when you move to Ghana, and until you can actually put things in place that will boost your income way above your living expenses, where you're able to live comfortably and save up some money like you would save up in the US, and also be able to invest some money, living in Africa is not cheap. And if you take that mentality with you and say that living in Africa is cheap, you'll realize that you're just settling. You might end up being forced to adapt to like lower standard of living just to make that living cheap. But the thing is, in order to make it cheap, you have to work harder and increase your income. If not, you will soon come to realize that it is not cheap living in Africa or Ghana or Liberia, especially when your income has reduced. If you're bringing in $1,000 and your income, your expenses is like right up there, $1,000, you're not able to save anything, then that living is not cheap. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So people need to get away from that mentality of living in Africa is cheap. And I think it's because of that, a lot of the people from the West are moving to Africa. And in honesty, we are actually driving the cost of living in Africa for the locals, for those who have lived in Africa all their lives, because we're going with a little extra money and we're able to afford $700 place or $500 place, whereas the man living there all his life is only able to pay $100. And because the landlords there now are attracted to the $500 tenant, they are now driving those people who were comfortably paying $100 away. In Ghana, you're seeing a lot of expensive houses and condos and apartments, you know, and not so much of the lower level ones, because it's like those who are flooding into the country don't want that. They want the high end, whereas the locals want something they can afford, but is becoming scarce now, and it's actually driving the cost up for them as well. So just erase that mentality that living in Africa is cheap. Say I can make my living in Africa cheap if I put in the work that I need to put in to increase my income. Another thing that I hear people say, and because a lot of them think that way, and it's somewhat misleading, is that living in Africa is like a year-round vacation. You know, it can be, but that's not accurate. You cannot, yeah, you have access to the beaches, you have access to great food, the weather, and all of that, but you're not just laying around. You're not just laying around, because if you lay around, you're not going to be able to sustain yourself in Africa unless you're on vacation. But if you actually relocated to live in Africa long term or permanently, it's not a year-round vacation. You are hustling, you are grinding, you don't have a stable income like the US, so you have to make sure you are working. You're waking up every day and you're finding means to better yourself. And the goal is, if I say America's system is not for me, it's hard, I can't make it, if I go to Africa, I want to make it, you know, like I want to make sure my living quality, the quality of my living and my income goes much higher than in the US. That's the goal. So I'm not going to lay on beaches and sip margaritas and be on a year-round vacation. So that mentality is wrong. And if you go with that mentality, you're not going to get anything done. And sooner or later, you're either living a really poor life or you're packing your way back to where you came from. So living in Africa is not a year-round vacation. It's a place of hustle. It's a place of a lot of uncertainties and risk, and you want to make sure that you can put things in place to mitigate those risks. Okay? The third misconception or misleading information that I think people follow and believe and dwell on is that as long as you have a business in Africa, it flourishes. This one, a lot of people might disagree, but that's not true. You need to be a realist. Yes, Africa has many great opportunities to do many different things. It only depends on like how creative your mind is. You can establish so many different things, but the flourishing of your business is not automatic. And that's just not Africa, it's everywhere. But let's say because Africa is kind of like a closed continent yet when it comes to like development and infrastructures and a lot of different things, people think that every business you start is an automatic success. A lot of the people who do businesses in Ghana and Liberia and Africa as a whole, they would tell you that they put a lot of work in. There are a lot of challenges that comes with doing business in Africa. So don't think that you're just gonna start something and boom, you are a success. No, you are going to be frustrated, you're going to break down, there will be economies, seasons, times that you just won't be making any money. I've experienced that. And you still have to pay your staff, you still have to keep the lights on, you still have to like have inventory in your shop or your store or whatever else that you're doing, and that money is actually coming out of your personal budget because the business ain't bringing no money at the time. So but every day you have to wake up and you have to keep working, you have to keep doing something. So businesses in Africa is not an automatic flourishing or success. However, business in Africa has higher chances of success if you put the work in, you stay consistent, and you are willing to adapt. So if you're one of those people that say, I'm gonna move to Africa because living in Africa is cheap. I'm gonna move to Africa because living in Africa is a year-round vacation, and I'm going to move to Africa or Ghana or Liberia because business is in those places flourish. Just with that bare mentality, you will not succeed. Okay? All those things are conditions. All those things can be true, but they're all conditions that are connected to you, that are reliant on you. So you are the reason why living in Africa would be cheap, living in Africa would be a year-round vacation, and living in business in Africa would flourish. It all depends on you. So, and there are skills and talents and personalities that can survive and thrive in Africa. It's not for everyone. Ghana is not for everyone. Liberia is not for everyone. Moving to Africa is not for everyone. So you have to start with you. You have to search within. You have to search without. You have to be able to come up with a plan and build yourself to capacity, full capacity, to be able to succeed in Africa. So I hope that helps that thinking or that thought about living in Africa, and I hope it helps you prepare well, be more realistic with your planning, and go in knowing that you're going to give it your best, and you will succeed if you give it your best. I thank you for coming back to watch this video. I have many more great contents coming your way. I am currently visiting the US to return to Ghana. I will be in Liberia for the December holidays, and I can't wait to show you what I have in store for you. So if you have not subscribed, I want you to stick around. Hit the subscribe button and notification button. I will definitely have a lot coming your way. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.